The proverb says, "Dogs have masters, but cats have servants." We usually see cats roam around alone, minding their own business, because in usual cases, a cat only cares about itself. But this story about a cat will surely change your mind. A stray cat used to visit a butcher shop and beg for scraps of meat. The butcher would always cave eventually and give her some leftovers. The cat, however, refused to consume the whole food and instead took it off. It was unclear where she was going with it, but when everyone got the bigger picture by following the cat, they were completely mind-blown. This is also a story of a woman named Freya. All of Freya's life, she had been a butcher. All her family had worked as butchers. It had been their family business for more than 125 years, and she felt happy to be a part of it. They used to run a shop at a market outside of Baltimore. They had a strong consumer base and were often welcomed by visitors from all across the state who wanted to try their goods. The meat they served was qualitative and fresh. Freya loved to keep her pricing low to entice more clients, but she had not anticipated one very little customer, the stray cat. Freya would swat the stray cat away since any day it could walk up to the stall and jump up onto the counter one day. It may not only take some of her meat items, but it might also smear them with filth and hair. With its long ginger hair and piercing blue eyes, the cat was incredibly attractive. It seemed to be quite pleasant and welcoming, and it was rather big. Freya had a stall to run and a company to maintain, so she had no time to be playing with a cat, no matter how lovely and amiable she was. However, had she encountered this magnificent cat anywhere else, she would have loved to spend time playing with it. The cat would hide in the bushes on the other side of the roadway after she shooed it away, but the cat would keep coming back and pleading for more meat pieces. She was aware that it was stray and possibly hungry, but she was unable to entertain the cat. She had business to run. If news got out that a cat was scurrying about on her meat, what would the customers think? It would risk her business and the shop would be closed immediately. But the cat never caused any problems. It would only remain seated on the counter and scan the meat. All kinds of meat you could imagine was available in the stall, including chicken breast, racks of ribs, steaks, liver, lamb chops, pig fillets, sausages, bacon, and more. The ginger cat would just sit and gaze at the abundance of meat, clearly wanting to sink its teeth into it. But as soon as Freya caught sight of it, she would flail her arms at it to drive it away. However, she expressed concern about the stray cat. She thought that if someone needed assistance, you should attempt to aid them, whether they are a cat, a dog, or a human, since it was a terrible world. So one day, Freya discovered some leftover meat that she was about to toss away, but decided to save it aside as she waited for the ginger cat. Sure enough, the cat showed up a few hours later. This time, Freya threw the meat to her a few meters away from the stand instead of shooing her away. The stall owner watched as the cat pounced on it and began to devour it. Freya continued to save leftover meat for the cat as part of her little habit of every day. It was a sweet little compromise where Freya got to take care of the adorable stray cat and kept it out of the actual meat stall. But Freya could not help noticing an oddity. Only a tiny portion of the meat the long-haired ginger cat used to eat, and then it would rapidly take the remainder of the piece of the meat in its jaws and run away. This surprised Freya since she had assumed the cat would eat the food in one sitting. She had never seen a cat begin a delectable meal before taking off with the other half. She found that to be quite strange. If it had only happened once, Freya could have forgotten about it, but it seemed like every time she gave the cat some food, it would barely eat half before scurrying off with the remainder. And Freya wasn't the only one who had observed the peculiar tendency. The stray cat had also become well known to regulars at the meat stand who found its actions to be somewhat puzzling. Where was the cat taking the piece of meat? What did it do with the leftovers? Why didn't it just consume it all right away? The whole picture would soon become clear when they learned the real reason. Their hearts were melted completely. One day, in particular, the market was not very busy. Freya was conversing with 5 or 6 regulars who had dropped by for a brief chat as they were all alerted about the long-haired ginger cat outside the stall. Freya picked up the strange meat fragments off the counter and threw them to the cat. The cat did, however, only consume half like always. She took the remainder in her mouth and started walking down the street. However, they could not help their curiosity, and they decided to go see where the lovely animal was going with the half-eaten piece of meat and what it was doing with the food. While being cautious not to approach too closely, Freya and the small group of people followed the fluffy ginger cat. Perhaps she was saving the food to consume later, or perhaps she was taking care of some other cute young kittens. After 5 minutes of following her through the streets, she went into an alley with the meat still hanging out of her mouth. Freya and the small group of people gathered at the end of the lane to look down it in the hopes of seeing the cat's destination. They just got heartbroken by what they saw. They saw a mound of debris around halfway down the empty and silent lane. Another ginger cat, this time with shorter fur, was stuck with its front leg wedged beneath one of the enormous concrete blocks. This cat was also ginger. The cat with the long fur had been pleading for morsels of meat so it could carry them back to its companion who was confined. After eating the piece of meat that his buddy had given him, the cat went back to his lying posture with his poor leg in the same predicament. The poor animal seemed to be both frightened and in agony. As a result, Freya volunteered to be the one to release it for free. She cautiously approached the distressed cat and petted it as she got closer. It was obvious that its leg had been broken and there was dried blood matted into its fur, but other than that, it seemed to be in rather good shape. She took hold of the cat to prevent it from running away and removed the concrete block that was attached to its leg. Freya took it to the veterinarian as quickly as she could and found out that the stray cat with short hair had broken its leg and gotten numerous other cuts as it was struggling to get away. During the time that it was being nursed back to health, it would demand a great deal of love and care. If no one would take it in, then it would be put to a gradual death. Freya saved the day by intervening and making an offer to take in the stray ginger cat with short hair. In addition to this, she decided to take in the long-haired stray cat too that had been to the shop asking for food scraps. It was obvious that the two cats were inseparable companions. As a result, she took them in and gave them a place to live that was not only secure so that they could flourish there. Since that day, Freya not only made sure that the short-haired cat was nursed back to health to its fullest extent, but she also brought them pieces of meat every single day at their house. What were your thoughts on this wonderfully inspiring narrative? If a cat came to you and begged for food, would you give it to the cat? And if you were in the woman's shoes, do you think you would have taken in both the cats? We would love to hear your views. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We'll see you in the following video. Thanks for watching.